the headlines, the House panel tackles 5 grounds over President Marcos' impeachment.
Senators and lawmakers clashes on hearing due to China's indecent statements against public officials.
The Department of Justice starts preliminary probe on plunder case against Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Bong Revilla.
Octa Research survey reveals that Marcos's fourth-quarter trust and performance scores decline while Vice President Sara Duterte's increases.
The United States slashes tariffs on Indian goods to 18%. Good evening, bringing you the latest news for tonight. I am ALVIN PELOBELLO.
And I am KRIZZA Lopez. This is Eurotv News Thread. The details on our broadcast. The House panel continues its session on the 2 impeachment complaints against President Marcos, tackling the 5 grounds to determine whether the charges should be declared sufficient in substance.
The House Committee on Justice deferred with the voting today, giving committee members enough time to decide. The details on this report.
As part of the continuing preliminary process on the 2 impeachment complaints against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., lawmakers in the House of Representatives have discussed the 5 grounds cited in the impeachment cases. This is aimed at determining the sufficiency in substance of the 2 impeachment complaints. During today's session, each member of the House Committee on Justice expressed their opinion on every ground and whether it should be considered an impeachable offense. In the first complaint, which is related to the alleged kidnapping of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the debate centered on the authenticity of the signatures submitted in support of the complaint. This followed the assertion of Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Redon that the authenticity of the evidence should be included in determining sufficiency in substance. He noted that in previous impeachment cases, the authenticity of evidence had already been raised as an issue.
Even at the level of determination of sufficiency in substance, yung pong unauthenticated submissions at no personal knowledge, meron po itong real impact not just on this impeachment proceeding, but on all impeachment proceedings.
However, the Makabayan Bloc endorsers of the second impeachment complaint, led by Maza et al., argued that the complaints are still in the preliminary stage and that questions on the authenticity of evidence should instead be tackled during the actual impeachment hearings.
Ang sinasabi lang po, hindi po ito ang tamang panahon para gawin yun.
The motion was put to a vote in the committee. The result, the inclusion of authenticity of records in determining sufficiency in substance was approved by a vote of 24-21. Meanwhile, according to Representative Redon, it is still premature to predict the outcome of today's session. He said there is no certainty yet on whether committee members will decide to declare the impeachment complaints insufficient in substance.
Premature to state that House members have already made up their minds on what to vote. So the question on the matter will be decided not today, but tomorrow po, when the question is asked on whether or not they would vote on the sufficiency in substance of that particular complaint.
So, in the end, Committee Chair Attorney Jervil Luistro decided to suspend the session and the voting of the determination of sufficiency in substance to give lawmakers more time to deliver it. According to Luistro, the voting will be conducted by a majority vote on Wednesday, February 4.
We suspended the voting on the sufficiency of substance because we wanted to give time to the justice members to think them over, all the discussions that we had today, before they vote tomorrow afternoon.
President Marcos is accused of ordering the alleged kidnapping of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte to bring him to The Hague. Failure to veto allegedly unconstitutional unprogrammed funds benefiting from kickbacks, graft, and betrayal of public trust, forming the basis of the 2 impeachment complaints filed against him. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
A heated exchange erupted in the Senate as lawmakers clashed over the West Philippine Sea, with sharp divisions surfacing on how strongly the Philippines should confront China's claims and defend the 2016 arbitral ruling. Same scenario also happened in the House of Representatives yesterday. Here's my report.
Senator Kiko Pangilinan and Rodante Marcoleta clashes in Monday's Senate hearing over the extent of the West Philippine Sea amid the public exchange of their colleagues against Chinese embassy concerning territorial dispute. This originated from the Senate resolution condemning the indecent remarks made by the embassy against lawmakers, which criticizes China's claims in the West Philippine Sea and its non-compliance to the 2016 arbitral ruling stating the West Philippine Sea.
Dito po sa binabanggit nating mga batas sa ngayon, kung titingnan natin, hindi po natin sila magagamit, Mr. President. Kaya napakahirap po ngayon nating sagupain yung mga pananaw na parang may nag-aangkin ng atin pero hindi pa natin ma-define kung ano talaga yung atin.
I don't see the logic, Mr. President. We were awarded by the arbitral tribunal. It is ours. Now, is the gentleman saying the tribunal was mistaken and therefore what was awarded to us should not have been awarded to us?
Pangilinan insisted that it is a must to defend and uphold the ruling that states the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines in the South China Sea. Pangilinan noted that there is no need for longer debate as the Philippines won the territorial dispute over China. Almost the same clashes happened at the House of the Representatives, which Cagayan de Oro 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez accuses House Minority Leader Representative Marcelino Libanan siding with China after he called for discipline and professionalism in issuing statements regarding the sensitive foreign policy, including the West Philippine Sea.
Let me state clearly, this is not a defense of China, nor a retreat from our sovereign rights. This is an honest call for discipline, propriety, and adherence to the standards required of public officials under our laws.
I am insulted that a member of this Congress will stand up in favor of China. It's because China has been violating the sovereign rights of the Filipino people, the Republic of the Philippines, for so many years. Are you still insisting, Minority Leader, that our spokesman of the Philippine Coast Guard has violated the code of conduct of public officials?
Rodriguez rejected the privileged speech of Libanan and threatened to file an ethics probe against the lawmaker for siding with China. This is ALVIN PELOBELLO for Eurotv News.
The Department of Justice has started a preliminary investigation into the plunder cases of Senator Jinggoy Estrada and former Senator Bong Revilla. The prosecutor clarified that the presence of both of the accused was not required. More from Mia Layagin's report. The Department of Justice conducted on Monday the first preliminary investigation hearing for the separate plunder cases filed against Senator Jinggoy Estrada and former Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. This is still in relation to their alleged involvement on the anomalous flood control projects, particularly after they were implicated in demanding commission and kickbacks from project contracts. Estrada and Revilla both did not appear during the hearing, with Prosecutor General Richard Anthony Fadulyon confirming that their attendance will be required only when they are ordered to submit their counter-affidavits. Following the initial hearing, the National Bureau of Investigation, who filed the plunder cases, have until February 12 to submit additional documents related to the charges. DOJ set the same day for the next hearing of the preliminary investigation. On the other hand, former Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Manuel Bunoan was present during the initial hearing. He is a correspondent of Estrada on the plunder case. While he refused to detail the probe, Bunoan understands the weight of the allegations, especially a plunder case, saying that he have to study it more. He also assured continuous cooperation with the OJ's investigation and will stay in the Philippines as he waits for the schedule of his wife's transplant in US set this month. The OJ spokesperson, Attorney Polo Martinez, clarified that Bunuan still has rights to travel amid the Immigration Lookout Bulletin order as long as they are still respondents of the case, and his activities will be monitored, however, by the ILBO. This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
A proposed measure in the House of the Representatives is seeking to hold lawmakers more accountable with a bill pushing for a no-work, no-pay policy for the members of the Congress. It can be recalled that Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa has been absent for months following the alleged release of an ICC warrant of arrest. Vanessa Cleopas tells us the details.
House Majority Leader and Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative Ferdinand Alexander Sandro Marcos is currently pushing in Congress House Bill 7432, or the proposed law declaring a no-work, no-pay compensation scheme for members of Congress. In the legislator's explanatory note, it is stated that the proposed law simply ensures that the salaries and other benefits received by elected officials from the people's money should only be granted if they fulfill their duties and personally report to work. It is also a proof of promoting transparency, accountability, and sincere public service. According to the proposed law, a congressman can only be considered to have performed their duties if they attend the plenary session, whether regular or special session, present in the quorum with their attendance duly recorded in the Journal of the Senate and House of Representatives. The proposal also considers their participation in committee hearings and meetings, especially if they are members of a committees, as well as their involvement in official government activities. Any lawmakers who is absent from work without a valid reason will not receive compensations for the days they were absent. An absence is considered valid if due to illness, but a medical certificate issued by a licensed physician must be presented. Absences are also valid if the lawmakers travels abroad for work-related purposes or missions, provided that it is approved by the Speaker of the House. Meanwhile, anyone who attempts to falsify their attendance or receive compensation despite not fulfilling their duties will face disciplinary action, such as suspension or removal from office as a member of the House based on existing congressional laws. This is Vanessa Cleopas for Eurotv News.
A new Okta research survey shows shifting public sentiment, with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s trust and performance ratings declining in the fourth quarter, while Vice President Sara Duterte's scores saw a modest uptick by year's end. Mia Layagin has more. Following the disclosure of the rampant and widespread issue of corruption in the country last year, both the trust and performance ratings of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte decreased by the third quarter of 2025. However, by the end of the year, the public had mixed perceptions. Based on the fourth quarter tugon ng Masa survey of Okta Research, Marcos's trust scores got lower, placed at 48%. This is 9 points lower than the 57% trust ratings he got last September. His highest trust scores of 54% came from Balanced Luzon. 31% meanwhile distrust Marcos, highest from the Mindanao at 52%. Marcos's performance scores likewise dropped by 3 points to 51% by the fourth quarter of 2025. He received his highest scores from Balanced Luzon with 58%, while Mindanao with the lowest at 42%. On the other hand, Duterte's rating slightly improved by the end of the year. From the 51% in September, Duterte's trust scores was placed at 53%, with Mindanao giving her the highest score at 89%, while Balanced Luzon the lowest with 36%. 26% of Filipinos distrust Duterte. In terms of her performance ratings, Duterte's score improved from 49% to 54%. The highest came from Mindanao with 79%, while Balanced Luzon the lowest at 41%. The survey was conducted from December 16 to 20 through interviews with 1,200 Filipino adults nationwide. This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
A brutal double killing involving a police officer and her young child has been declared solved by the DILG as authorities name the suspects and detail how the crime was carried out. Shai Morales has the full report.
The Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, has declared the killing of Police Senior Master Sergeant Dayan Marie Molinido and her 8-year-old child as case closed. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla made the announcement on Tuesday, February 3, during a press conference. Based on the investigation, Remulla said the suspects behind the crime are Pia Katrina Panganiban, a car dealer involved in a vehicle transaction with the victim, and her husband, Christian Suarez Panganiban. Also accomplices are Gil Valdemoro Jr., who allegedly helped dispose of the bodies, and the car dealer's sister-in-law, who is also considered a suspect.
Sa bahay pala ni Panginiban ay pinatay si Dayan Marie Molinido sa pamamagitan ng gunshot wound na pumasok dito sa ulo at lumabas habang siya ay nakaupo at lumabas po sa kanyang pigi. Ang kanyang anak po na si John Ismael ay ginapos ang ulo ng plastic bag at namatay dahil sa pananakal.
According to Remulla, the victims were killed inside the suspect's house by strangulation. After the killing, the bodies were wrapped in plastic and loaded into a vehicle. Remulla added that after the crime, the suspects even brought their own children while disposing of the bodies, which were placed at the back of the car. The family was initially said to be heading to Baguio, but they changed routes and dumped the bodies in Tarlac and Bulacan.
Si Pia at si Christian, kasama ang kanyang katatlong anak, yung isang anak nasa lap ni Pia, yung isa nasa lap ni Gil. Yung dalawang katawan nasa likod ng Montero. Nasa likod. Fortuner pala. Nasa likod ng Fortuner. Ang plano nila, halika, bakasyon muna tayo sa Baguio. Kaya na sinabi sa mga bata. Pero along the way, nung night time nila, umikot sila, this is for crime. Doon kami nagulat lahat eh. Pati anak kasama. They were at the scene of the crime.
Despite the case being declared closed, authorities are still looking into the possible involvement of the victim's husband, Police Senior Master Sergeant John Molinido, who remains a person of interest. This is the only remaining angle being examined, according to Remulla. To recall, the body of Dayan Marie Molinido was found wrapped in plastic in a creek in Pulilan, Bulacan on January 24, and her 8-year-old child was later found dead and also wrapped in plastic in Victoria, Tarlac on January 29. This is Shai Morales reporting for Eurotv News.
Following a social media post conveying restrictions on modes of payment, the Land Transportation Office clarified that such a policy is unauthorized, emphasizing that clients have the right to choose their preferred mode of payment. More from this report.
The Land Transportation Office has clarified that there are no restrictions on the modes of payment accepted in its offices. This comes after a social media post circulated claiming that an LTO office no longer accepts cash payments and allow only online payments with an additional convenience fee. According to the LTO, all offices, including district and extension offices, are authorized to accept payments through any mode. Clients also have the right to choose how they wish to pay, whether in cash, card, or through electronic wallets. Based on the LTO statement, the imposition of restrictions on mode of payments is strictly prohibited. The agency also stressed that it does not impose convenient fees on online payments made by clients. These fees are collected by third-party payment service providers to cover the cost of their infrastructure and services. The LTO assured the public that these measures are part of its effort to eliminate fixers and ensure orderly, fast, and honest transactions. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
The Land Transportation Office has launched an investigation into the Boss Ironman Challenge 2026 after receiving reports that the event allegedly causing several incidents. Henry Nicolas has more.
The Land Transportation Office or LTO today announced it will issue a show cause order to the BMW Owners Society of Safe Riders or BOS, organizer of the Boss Ironman Challenge Mindanao Cup 2026 held in General Santos City. The action follows widespread circulation of disturbing footage and accounts of accidents on social media platforms which caught the immediate attention of the LTO chief and enforcement teams. Based on reviews of viral videos and images, specific traffic violations are alleged to have occurred during the event in violation of Republic Act No. 4136. These include overspeeding, use of unauthorized vehicle accessories and modifications, illegal blinkers, failure to stop at red lights, and disregard for road signs, including mandatory stop signs and lane markers. On the said event, multiple collisions were reported both event participants and civilian vehicles, including the death of a 7-year-old child, and separate fatal collision involving another event participant occurred in Kibawe, Bukidnon on February 1 and is currently under investigation by the local authorities. Following the assessments of the social media content, LTO's Intelligence and Investigations Division launched preliminary investigations to verify the allegations and gathered additional evidence. Once concluded, the show cause order will be formally issued to the organizers. Under Republic Act No. 4136, organizers have a legal and moral obligation to ensure compliance with traffic laws and prioritize safety for all. LTO said they will hold accountable those responsible, and this case sends a clear message: compliance is mandatory and safety must be at the core of all event planning and execution. This is Henry Nicolas for Eurotv News.
With the typhoon season fast approaching, the Department of the Interior and local government is urging the local government nationwide to step up disaster preparedness and response measures. Vanessa Cleophas returns.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG ordered all local government units or LGUs across the country to strengthen and reinforce their local cluster management of the dead and missing persons or MDM, which will focus on search, rescue, and retrieval operations. This comes ahead of the approaching typhoon season. According to the DILG, this is in accordance with the directive of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to make LGUs disaster ready, capable of responding quickly to unexpected events and able to save more lives during times of calamity. The agency also issued a memorandum circular to expedite the